Hello everyone. Today we're diving into the fascinating world of coordination chemistry. We'll be synthesizing and characterizing a classic copper complex, also known as tetraminecopper 2 sulphate. As for the chemicals, we're going to need 2 grams of copper sulphate pentahydrate, 12.5 milliliters of 20% ammonia, 10 milliliters of distilled water, and 10 milliliters of 96% ethanol. I started by dissolving the copper sulfate pentahydrate in 10 milliliters of water. I'm using a magnetic stirrer so I can dissolve the copper sulfate faster. When the copper sulfate had dissolved, I added the ammonia. When I start adding the ammonia solution, a pale blue precipitate forms. That represents copper hydroxide. When ammonia is in excess, the copper complex forms. This complex has its specific deep blue indigo color. After forming the complex, I added 10 milliliters of 96% ethanol so that the complex can precipitate. You'll know that the complex crashed out when the solution goes from clear to cloudy. My solution was still clear, so I added 10 more milliliters of ethanol. After that, my solution finally got cloudy, so I heated it up to 65 degrees Celsius and let it recrystallize overnight. The next day, some blue crystals formed. Then I scraped them and put them on a filter paper. After scraping most of the crystals, I wanted to wash the Erlenmeyer flask with a 1:1 ammonia to ethanol solution. When I added ethanol over the ammonia to create a 1:1 solution, a white precipitate formed, which I believe is sodium methoxide from a contamination of sodium hydroxide in the ammonia solution. When I saw that, I knew the experiment had failed. and after 30 minutes of drying, the complex was destroyed. And so I tried again, but this time using ammonia, which I was sure it was pure. Once again, I dissolved the copper sulphate in 10 milliliters of water, stirred the solution until everything was dissolved, then I added a 28% aqueous ammonia, forming the complex which gave the solution a beautiful deep blue color. After letting it stir for a little while, I added a 96% ethanol so that the complex precipitates without the sodium hydroxide contamination. We can finally see the indigo color of the complex. When the solution got cloudy, I changed it for a dish with water, which I heated up to 65 degrees Celsius. Do not, and I repeat, do not heat the water over 70 degrees Celsius because your ammonia and ethanol will evaporate, destroying your complex. When the water got to 65 degrees Celsius, I killed the heat, then lowered in my Erlenmeyer flask with the complex in it. Do not touch the bottom of the dish with the Erlenmeyer flask because it's hotter than the water, and as I said earlier, the ethanol and the ammonia will boil, destroying your complex. After the solution becomes clear again, we set it aside and let it recrystallize for 40 minutes. After 40 minutes, I filter everything using a beaker and a coffee filter. If you have the possibility, use a vacuum filtration because it will majorly improve your yield, but I didn't have one, so I kind of lost some of the product on the filter paper. One factor that lowered my yield was that I forgot to take out the stir bar. After drying and weighing my product, I got 1.13 grams, which corresponds to a yield of 57.4%. Thank you so much for watching. Any form of support is appreciated, and stay tuned for future content.